So we just saw the latest rocksploitation kaiju video game adaptation.
Disaster movie.
Midway cinematic universe.
Maybe.
Animal crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Godzilla, Kong.
Environmental.
Yeah.
Animal
Man versus nature.
Movie of the week, kind of Rampage.
Yeah. It's all Rampage.
Now, what do you expect with this movie? I don't have any complaints with it because if you're complaining, you're just setting yourself up. Really, it's kind of just it's what you think it is.
Yeah.
Well, I think Rampage is better than it deserves to be. Like, it's all right. It's a good video game adaptation. Thanks. It's kind of like Tomb Raider. It's like, all right, you did it. Great.
I think it's funny how all of our B movies nowadays cost like $50 to $100 million.
Yeah.
It's basically a B movie.
Meanwhile, like real serious, like
B movies are now big movies.
They took over.
And giant monsters are doing well apparently. So if you're in the mood for that kind of thing, then that's what this delivers.
Yeah, you've got your Godzilla, your Kong, your Pacific Rim.
Mm-hmm.
The Marvel movies have giant monsters, Transformers. It's like the era of giant monsters.
Yeah. I just realized that. Should I introduce you guys? Because I just realized this is the first movie review I think I've ever done with you guys. Yeah. Because usually it's with Mike. Mike isn't here today, but Ryan, Tony, and Justin. Yes. And we just decided today, like, hey, let's go see this movie. So. Yeah. I missed. There's a lot of movies out. I know I want to see Ready Player One, Black Panther, but I haven't been able to keep up. So today the planets aligned, and we just happened to,
Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed the movie. I think we're at a weird, like you said, I think we're at a weird part of video game movies now where they're okay, competent movies. Like Tomb Raider, I thought was an okay, generic, but I'm like, you know what, it worked. There's nothing too ham-fisted. There's not like a million characters like Street Fighter and all those other movies used to put like a million characters in.
I feel like this is one of the few video game movies where the license doesn't hurt the film. Like it kind of feels
nobody
like...
was expecting a Rampage movie.
It's because no one
a one-screen arcade game.
Yeah, no one wanted and no one cared about a Rampage game, so they're not like the Rampage fans are gonna protest the movie. Like, oh my god, like they weren't humans that were mutated, and because like no one
they changed a lot of stuff. Yeah, but if you're talking
there's a lot of stuff there to begin with.
As someone who's more in like arcade scene and have done all that stuff. Like, everyone's played Rampage. Like, oh, yeah, the one where you grab people out of buildings and eat them and whatever. And there was an N64 game.
Yeah, Rampage across its entire life really didn't change much. If you play the arcade version, the NES version, and then you play the N64 version, there's minor graphical changes, but it's the same game.
Yeah.
So, like... No one really, like, people will pretend that they remember, like, oh man, I can't believe they're making a rock movie with that, but it was fine.
Yeah.
And you brought up rocksploitation earlier. Yeah. It's funny because
a trailer for a rock movie right before the movie. Yeah. And I think I saw the trailer to Rampage and the same trailer compilation as Jumanji. So it's like Jumanji and then Rampage.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? It's a Venn diagram. You got Rampage in the middle, Skyscraper over here, and Jumanji over here. And it's almost like they just took the Rock from one set to the other that day.
How does this guy sleep?
Yeah. I mean, he's always working. He's doing so many things.
And, I was kind of a little bit worried that he wasn't going to seem as badass in this movie compared with all these giant monsters. I thought that was going to kind of scale The Rock down. Like, even though he's the biggest guy in the movie, he's still like dwarfed comparison to all these monsters. But he was still badass. Yeah. Like, he's dishing it out with these monsters.
I want to know how many special forces, primate, zoologist experts there are in the world, because I feel like I've seen 10 movies this year where it's like he is into like animals but also kicks ass. Like,
Do you think it was I mean, I suppose people saw us in the trailer. We haven't gotten any spoilers yet, by the way. But as you know, there's 3 monsters in it, and the one that Lizzie in the games, which sort of resembled Godzilla, they definitely changed that one probably the most.
Yeah.
Now it's sort of like this crocodile with a spiky back. Like,
Yeah.
It almost seemed like they were trying to make him look more like Anguirus instead of Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is smart. Although I think Warner Brothers is distributing the new Godzilla.
Oh, that's
so
true.
and this is Warner Brothers, but
Yeah.
I think that's just a way to differentiate it. Like gorillas exist in the wild. Like you can make a giant gorilla without getting in trouble. But like a lizard standing up.
Well,
But it did
Toho
seem a lot
getting-
like Kong fighting more. I got a little bit not confused, but sometimes I'd be kind of thinking like, oh, I'm watching Kong, and then remind myself I'm watching Rampage.
Yeah, it kind of blended into like Skull Island.
Well, because Son of
kinda.
Kong was about an albino ape, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're really seeing the impact of the new Planet of the Apes series, which I actually love.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's great, yeah.
This movie, like Planet of the Apes, kind of established like how apes act in the movies, and this continues that.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
The-
like,
the-
apes growing, and you know.
The CG was really good. Like I think they nailed it, especially after War of the Planet of the Apes. Like now Andy Serkis can work forever. I'm not sure who did the
Yeah.
mocap and whatever for George the
Yeah.
Ape, but it was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, there's nothing that looked bad or anything.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna say there's anything great. It's kind of like, look, this is a genre film. If this is what you want to see, then it gives you what you want.
Like I said, it's easy to follow. You know what everyone's doing. There was nothing really
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah, it was very one track. It's linear, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's like these are the bad guys, these are the good guys.
Because video game movies had a problem doing that for years, where they just go all over.
Right,
the
where
place.
it's tough because you have a one-screen beat 'em up, eat people movie. How do we make that into? How do you flesh that out for 90 minutes?
Yeah.
And compared to like Super Mario Brothers, where you make like it's like Blade Runner Underground, and I love the Super Mario Brothers movie because I think it's like fun. Like
It has its merits. For
But
sure.
like if Super Mario Brothers didn't exist, the game, and that movie came out, I would have been like, this is fun. This is great. But you expected, Mario 1, Mario 2.
Yeah.
I think that they brought in a lot of the reference material without beating you over the head with it.
Except for the arcade cabinet in the guy's office.
Yeah, well,
that was weird.
We live in a world. The Rampage movie takes place in a world where the Rampage game exists.
Well, that's what happened. So basically what happened is the scientist lady loved Rampage the game as a kid and said, hey, let's call it Project Rampage, and it just happened to infect these animals.
Well, I was
So,
gonna say,
so if the animals looked more like they did in the game, then it would be maybe just too weird of a coincidence.
yeah, like I think that wasn't the wolf like purple or something.
I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
But it was weird because because the game, it's like the actual Midway 1986 arcade is basically what if in this world where you can play together, you have King Kong, Godzilla, and a Wolfman. Like Universal monster things fighting and eating people and all that. But it's kind of tough to bring that into a modern movie because you're not going to get the licenses for all three of them.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that, and this is getting into spoiler territory now.
Okay, so we'll just give a
little bit.
spoiler alert.
Yeah.
You want to just do
Wait.
that? Okay. So
Okay.
Spoiler alert, everybody. So
Yeah, you don't want to spoil your Rampage.
Better watch out.
Spoiler: building falls down.
Buildings fall on people, yeah. I'm so glad that they changed the origin story of the monsters, because I think if you had gone through this scientist became the lizard, George, Ralph, all of that, I think it would have felt like an Avengers movie, just bad, because there's the origin stories of all of the people.
They kind of made fun of people who care about that because at one point the Negan Men
Jeffrey
in
D.
Black,
Morgan.
the Negan Men in Black guy, that's what I'm gonna call him. He's like, oh, and the nerds online are calling that one Ralph.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, got him. I don't know.
No, I like that because you either would have had to learn 3 other characters' origin and you would have stopped caring as soon as they turned into monsters, or it would have been 3 random people that you don't care about and it would have slowed down the movie. And they would have to give like the animals like the human's face so you can connect, and that would just be weird. So yeah, I like the changed origin.
they do appear rather abruptly. I mean, other than George, the gorilla, but the other two kind of just is like, hey, here's the monster now.
I was kind of mad we didn't get to see because there's a part where they're calling them to the city, so all the monsters are coming, kind of like the new Godzilla movie where they lure him with the bomb.
Okay.
And it just cuts to a security monitor where the gorilla and the wolf are walking together, and I wanted them to have a scene where they team up and give each other an affirmative nod and then go.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's interesting. One, to bring up the fact where you said if they did it the other way, no one would care about it with the extra characters. Kind of like us in this review. Yeah. Be a little self-aware. And the other, I like how they have the tower that brings them into the city. Because it explains in the game why these three guys are kind of working together but not, and they fight each other and they don't. It makes more... It's like they added sense to a game that was just made like just shit out arcade game. It's 1986. Sega's going to kick our ass soon. Like Afterburner. Like we have to get these games out. You know? So more thought went into this movie than went into the game.
Yeah. It definitely seemed like they're trying to get ahead of the Godzilla monster verse that's coming up.
Beat him to the punch.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, they did with Lost World when they had the T-Rex attack San Diego.
I was saying Lost World had the T-Rex show up in the city a year before the '98 Godzilla remake, so like beating them to the punch.
And then that ended up looking like a T-Rex anyway. It does seem kind of like for a minute it feels like you're watching Kong versus Godzilla, and you're like, that's coming out. But then but we still have Godzilla 2 coming out, and I didn't even see Pacific Rim Uprising, so I don't even know.
Apparently, no one did.
No. I wasn't big on the first Pacific Rim, even because I love Robot Jocks. Was that also 1986?
And Robot Wars?
No, that was closer to the 90s.
Yeah, and Robot Wars.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to like it so bad, because I like giant monster movies, anime, all that. It combined everything together, but it was too, like I really like Shin Godzilla. I know a lot of people don't like it because it's too Evangelion and whatever. Because it's like because I always thought Godzilla isn't a giant monster punch fest. It's a movie about how the people deal with Godzilla, like the first one, and all that stuff. And that's why Shin Godzilla brought that back. Whereas Rampage is just let's watch them punch each other, and it's fine.
This movie, I mean, there was a lot of action at the end, but I don't think it suffered from like what a lot of these blockbusters do, where basically the first half of it is dialogue, and then the second half is just this CGI fight scene. It had the CGI fight scene, but I didn't feel like the movie was over long.
Yeah,
it got in and got out. The pacing was very good.
This is the same director as San Andreas, and San Andreas I thought was a good modern disaster movie, and I still can't tell if it was a parody or genuine. Kind of like this movie, I don't know if it's a parody of giant monster movies or genuine.
Yeah.
But a lot of the effects of the movie do feel like they're left over from San Andreas, and they just digitally add it like giant monsters. I know Michael Bay does that. He'll reuse footage from movies and add Transformers to it.
This is Kong Skull Island.
Yeah.
So a lot of that too. I kind of felt like, these could have been because the skull crawlers or whatever in Skull Island, like they look kind of like this monster that's Lizzie in this one. So it's kind of like these movies really are blending together. I've seen hundreds of these, but you know what? If you like that kind of thing, like hey, fuck it, giant monsters.
That's the review, right?
Yeah.
Fuck it.
That's actually what Guillermo del Toro said about Pacific Rim. I remember I was at his Comic-Con panel, and he just said, this is going to be fucking giant monsters and fucking giant robots.
Yeah,
man has an Oscar now.
Now he has Best Picture for
a monster movie.
Yeah, for a monster movie.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know. Like I wouldn't say this is the renaissance of giant monster things, because I don't think anyone's like I don't think the world is like, oh man, we need more giant monster movies. I think it just happens to be working out.
I think it just happens they're starting to get noticed because I was going through my phase in the '90s. It didn't seem like at that point anybody in America was into them. You had to dig up these movies to find them. But I mean, everybody kind of knew who Godzilla was. It's like a household name, but nobody actually saw the movies. Who I knew in the States. But now it seems like it's finally getting known. I don't know. It's getting its fan base.
Yeah, or maybe they're just ripping properties that they know they can get, and most stuff
too.
from the 50s and 60s is giant monster stuff, so let's just use it.
I'm having a good run at the theater of non-sequel, non-universe movies that I've seen. The last movie I saw was Ready Player One, which I really enjoyed, and now we're going to Rampage.
Yeah, I want to see that.
I feel like I would love for over the summer for this to continue, where we have movies that aren't part of some big universe.
I do appreciate just because
true,
it's not part of some sequelitis or some sort of some sort of remake or in some sort of universe. But Ready Player One is just a nostalgia fest. Rampage is just a nostalgia fest. You're still in nostalgia bubble.
Yeah.
Like everyone. Like I don't think anything's super original or like. I don't remember the last time something super original or interesting came to theaters that I've been like happy about. Everything's just been okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one question. The Rampage games, because every Rampage I've ever played is the lizard, the wolf, and the gorilla. Do they ever add more villains? Or...
The Nintendo version doesn't have the wolf.
Okay, so they got rid of a
just
character.
the lizard and the
Yeah, the
gorilla.
NES one was.
Yeah.
You know what? The wolf dies first in this movie, so maybe that's a reference. No, but like, is there a sequel?
They
Where...
were thinking they need to watch it.
If there's like a sequel to this movie, what do they do? I don't know. If
I thought about that too.
Rampage 2?
If they make a sequel, like what other monsters is he gonna fight? Like they set up that rat, kind of, but I don't know if that's from the game.
You know, it's also weird that they started with a space station disaster. Kind of like they're like, oh, well, Gravity and The Martian.
Can I just say that space station scene was better than the last 4 Alien movies I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was better than all of them
really
combined.
good.
So the creature on the space station was a rat.
Yeah.
Which at the end, the Negan guy had a rat with him. I thought there was going to be another monster added or something, but they didn't do it. Like, there's a lot of things that they left breadcrumbs, but they didn't pick them up later. A few things.
I'm very happy they didn't, because if we had to watch George then fight the rat,
I thought it was going to be an after credit scene, or they were going to build a universe much like The Mummy did.
Oh god!
Did everybody see that?
Yeah.
The Dark Universe.
The Dark, rest in peace, Dark Universe.
Aren't you disappointed we're not going to get to see how Tom Cruise turns out? Like, what kind of monster he evolves into? That's not the Wolfman or not Frankenstein. Not any of them.
I think we've all come to terms with
really
what kind of
wanted to
monster he is in real life.
I wanted to see the Invisible Man Johnny Depp movie. I'm really upset we're not getting that.
What a shame.
What a shame.
Just watch Hollow Man.
Yeah, Hollow.
I don't know, but the talk.
I gotta get back to Hollow Man sometime.
The original. But just talk more about the movie. I thought it was weird that all the monsters weren't the same height and like build. Like the alligator was like way big, but George, who's on the posters, and like the ape is the smallest one. Which I thought
even if they like made them all like standing upright, then they could have done like a motion capture, like have people actually like wrestle and like. Yeah. So I do wonder why they chose to make them such different builds.
Yeah.
I get why George was small, because he had to interact with the Rock. So they had it kind of, when you're talking to somebody who's 3 stories tall, that's a little hard to do. But yeah, why was Lizzie so big?
Yeah, and why did the wolf have all the animal accessories?
I think like
it had the spines, it had the flying, it had
I think like each canister had like different like DNA stuff in it. But like,
I didn't know you worked at the company that developed it.
No, I think they might have had a line
labels.
I think they might have had a line about it. Yeah. But like it's weird because like the alligator has extra spikes. It has teeth in its throat, which I think is weird. Yeah. But then George just gets bigger. Everyone else got extra abilities, but George just got bigger. So that was a little weird.
Yeah.
They tried to add the backstory where she's like, "Oh, this is from a spider lizard. This is from this is from that." But they kind of dropped that.
It felt very Gremlins 2 in that regard.
Yeah.
Like, where they're like, oh, he's got into the electric and he got into the garden sauce. Like,
the lab where they all just like
I
mutate.
love Gremlins 2. I think
it's great. It's really awesome.
I think more recently it reminds me of the Indominus Rex in Jurassic World, how that was like the mixture of a bunch of dinosaurs together.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any Rampage toys out there. Like, if they're like, I saw a Dave and Buster's like get blown up in the movie.
Yeah,
I'm guessing they're gonna have like a Rampage new game at Dave and Buster or something. But I haven't heard about it.
Or slap a logo on an old game like they did with Alien Covenant.
Let's talk about. Yeah,
they did.
Aliens Extermination.
Yeah, they just slapped a name on it.
Let's talk about the product placement.
Okay.
We saw the new Ford Bronco concept, and like these cars like pull into the shot at like the perfect 3/4. Like, there was the F-150 4x4 Ford again. There was when they're talking about the when they're first showing what's going on the computer screen, they pull out a Microsoft Surface. It's like the logo is like 1/4 of the screen when they hold it up, and like you were saying, they ripped the Dave and Buster's off.
Yeah, I mean, Bose headphones was another one.
Oh yeah, the Bose headphones.
The military had Bose.
The military Bose headphones.
I see that like he is not wearing like Beats headphones. I don't know. Like, I didn't really notice the product placement as much as like you know. Like what do you, like the Transformers movie where like a Bud Light truck or an Oreo bot.
Or Jurassic World, they keep showing the Mercedes logo on every car.
Yeah.
Dave and Buster stood out to me because I don't think that scene is in the trailer, and I don't think the Dave and Buster logo is in the trailer, so I think that's added.
The CGI was a little weird there. It's like like this like rainbow colored world inside the building.
Yeah. I don't know.
Awful product placement, by the way. Come to Dave and Buster's. You might die from a gorilla.
All right, so I think I've said everything I have to say about it. First impression. I don't think this is a movie I'm going to be going back to watch, but for, if you got a free Friday and this is something that you want to see, then it's. I guess it's kind of like it reminds me when I'm a kid and I watched Anaconda on the weekend or something. And it's like I never thought about that movie since till now, I guess, but. I enjoyed it, and I don't remember a single thing about it. So.
If you're looking for a movie where you want to turn your brain off and just have some fun for a little bit, this is your movie.
Yeah.
I think between this and Tomb Raider, I'm no longer dreading seeing video game movies. Mm-hmm. Now I'm just going to be like, all right, at the bare minimum, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
I'm no longer terrified.
We are thumbing up mediocrity. It's
fine. Thumbing up mediocrity.
I mean, it's on my binary scale of movies, it definitely gets a 1. So it's fine. It's good. It's fine. Yeah. Thanks for coming to see it with us.
Thank you.
Yeah.